Okay, we're going to do a couple things before we actually start graphing. You guys, when I use things on this graphing calculator up here, if I click the button, it turns red immediately. So you can see, ooh, what did she just push? You see how there's a red on the y equals? Click your y equals button. When I click my y equals button, you will see that I have a bunch of stuff that I was using for a different class. But I am going to get rid of it now, so I'm just going to clear each of these. If you have anything in there, let's clear it. You just go down and then clear. You might want to check all the way down because sometimes it like something ends up in the last one because it bumped around in your bag or something. Another thing is at the very top where it says plot 1, 2, or 3, if it's dark, like I'll show you mine being dark. If it looks like that, that might mess up your graphing. That's for something we will do in here, just not yet. So we're going to go up there. You hit enter to turn it off so that nothing is dark up at the top. Another thing that we're going to do to make sure everybody's ready to graph is we're going to hit zoom, which is the middle button at the top. And then you're going to hit 6. You can either arrow down till you get 6 and hit enter, or this menu works where you just have to hit the number 6. And everybody should have what I have. If you do not have what I have, you stop me immediately so I can catch you up. Zoom 6. Zoom is at the top. So if you read what Zoom 6 is, you will see Zoom 6 says Z standard. That's telling the calculator that the window we want to look at is going to be a standard window. Now, if you want to see what the numbers are that window is, there's a button that says window. You see the button at the top that says window? Click on that window button. And it will tell you what you're looking at. The smallest x, the x min is -10, and the biggest x is +10. Then it says x scale. The x scale is what does each little tick mark go up by. So right now mine goes up by 1. Then it has y min and y max. That's saying the y axis goes from -10 to +10. And then we're counting by ones for the y scale. The rest of the stuff is not important to you right now. Now, all of the graphing things we use will be these top 5 buttons or second buttons, which are like the little blue right above them. I don't know what color it is on your graphing calculator. But go back to y equals. And we're going to type in the equation that was on our notes, which is, we're going to type in this g of x equation, which is negative. Actually, it says to type in that and the parent function. So we're going to type in our parent function first. So if I have g of x equals negative absolute value, x plus 5 minus 3, what is my parent function? Okay, so we're going to do absolute value of x. Absolute value is not one of the buttons you look at. So a lot of times you might need a button that you don't see, and a lot of them are under the math button. So I just clicked math. You can see it turned red up there. Math has a lot of helpful things under it. Like just clicking it right away, you can see turns it into fraction, turns it into decimal, to the 3rd power. There's a 3rd root, cube root. And it's got some other stuff that's not important to you yet. We're going to arrow over, and you'll see the NUM category. And under NUM, 1 says ABS. What's ABS stand for? Absolute value, exactly. So we're going to hit either a 1 or enter. And depending on your how old your calculator is, it'll either say ABS parenthesis or it'll change it into the absolute value. And that just depends on how old your calculator is. Okay. Now we're doing absolute value of x. The x button I am touching right now, so it's red. That is the x button. It has other stuff on it because these calculators can graph in other planes that aren't XY planes. Ooh. That you learn about in much higher level math. But we will use that for x. So that's the absolute value of x. Once you've got it all typed in, you can hit graph. And we should have a V. Anytime that I'm going through this, if you are not keeping up with me or yours says error, please get me right away so that I don't get you really far behind. Yes. So we do math. Well, you got to be in y equals first. And then math. You arrow over to the NUM, like number, and it's choice 1. Okay. And then the X is the button that is red right now. The X is the button. It's next to alpha. Okay, so you should have your absolute value graph. Does anybody not have it graphed? Okay, so now let's go back to y equals and arrow down. So we're in y2. We're going to type in the equation that was in our notes, which I'm trying to move it so I can see. So the equation starts with a negative sign. There is a different button, bless you, there's a different button for negative and subtraction. There's a different button for negative and subtraction. I just clicked my negative button. If you click the wrong button, a lot of times it'll tell you you have an error. Then we're going to do absolute value. Oops, wrong button. So absolute value, we do math number 1. Inside the absolute value, I need plus 5. Oops, I forgot my x, sorry. I need x plus 5. And then you have to arrow, so you're outside the absolute value, subtract 3. When you get that, hit graph. If it says error, ask for help. Mine's up on the board so you can compare and see if it looks right. It should look the same as mine if it's when you're done. When I asked, you wrote this or yeah, okay, questions? Who got invalid dimensions? Who's I? So Elijah did something wrong. See this plot one that is turned on? You need to go up, hit enter, come back down. Now it's off, try it. It has to do with making a scatter plot, which you're not doing right now. Okay, let's go back to y equals. That was the one that was in our assignment, but let's try another function. Y. You guys know what you're doing? You know how to use the graphing calculator now. Don't ever want to know how to put fractions in very easily. Let me teach you how to do fractions really easily. Okay, let's graph x squared as our parent function. Let's graph x squared. So I'm going to hit x, and then there is a button that says x squared on it that will put the squared on. So I clicked x, and then I clicked the x squared button, and it's still red. Yes, dear. Yeah, I hit clear. Sorry. Okay, so you can hit graph if you want to see your x squared graph, our beautiful U-shaped parabola. Go back to y equals, arrow down. Now let's put a horizontal stretch on it.
How did you get to
You have to type the X button, which is here. Okay, I'm gonna put on a horizontal, what'd I say? Stretch. Okay, so I'm gonna go parenthesis, because if it's horizontal, it's gonna be in those parentheses. Somebody give me a stretch factor. Ooh, 6. I heard a 6 first. So to put a stretch by 6, I'm not gonna put 6 in here. What am I gonna put in here? Nate. Please pay attention. What am I going to put in here if I'm doing a stretch by 6? I'm going to put 1 over 6. We do the reciprocal. So that's a fraction. If you want to put a fraction in super, super easy, you do alpha, and then y equals, and a menu pops up, and I hit enter. And do you see it gave me a fraction to fill out?
I just hit alpha, then like the but.
And then I'm going to finish typing in X. I'm going to close parenthesis, and I'm going to put squared. That, again, was alpha, y equals, enter. It is a shortcut to get you a little tiny fraction bar in there. Did it not work on somebody's calculator?
So this software is not updated on your
This is way too much.
Is this your original? Like, this is always been your original. So if you have, you can update the software. If not, then you're just gonna have to use fractions like parentheses 1 divided by 6. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody? Oh, I answered it. Wait, I answered it. Hold on.
Hi. Hey.
The Home Depot. Don't say hi. Okay. Did anybody else have issues? If you haven't, hit graph and make sure your graph looks the same as mine.
Home Depot.
I would answer it.